Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, Sports City. We are back. Let's go. Okay, Hope. I got it from here, man. The call-in number is 929-477-2759. We got you at least locked and loaded for the next hour or so here in Sports City. Y'all could have been anywhere else, but y'all are here with the chefs. I'm opening up this show. Hopefully this thing starts to get warm and get a lot of people who have been getting a lot of melee throughout the week. They telling me that they can't wait to get back into the kitchen, so I got the brunch open as much as possible. I already gave you the call-in number. I'm going to try and get into a lot of the news and notes before I get into a lot of the picks for this week. And I also have a new feature I want to pop, the question of the day. It's almost like engaging myself with these questions of the day. But we'll see how it all pans out with the scenario and how the kitchen fills up. So I'm going to get a lot of this off of my chest with the weekend that was, in which first, I want to do the quick stuff first. In MMA, Colby Covington beats Tyrone Woodley in a TKO. I'm looking at this as this being like a default, even though Colby was actually beating the crap out of Woodley, if you ask me. But they gave him a TKO win due to a stoppage because Tyrone Woodley claimed that he broke a rib. I want to see more of the reports on that. I think, to me, and it's not easy to go in there, and I'm talking junk as a outsider looking and knowing I couldn't be an octagon fighter. I couldn't be an MMA fighter. But he looked gassed. He didn't look like he could go on, and it was a situation where I think Colby was applying pressure, and he tried to apply a guillotine choke, and it didn't, do too much frustrating to Colby, if you will, and I guess the pressure that he applied actually ended up cracking his rib. So I have to say Colby won the battle or the match, and these two have been going at it for years, and they finally got this one to go. And Colby, as soon as he won, he was talking mega junk, no sportsmanship, no handshake, and the message that he threw out at the end, you knew it was going to happen. And Donald Trump called him at the end of the fight, and he was trying his best to impress Donald Trump. However, Donald Trump didn't even watch the fight, but Donald Trump was giving him credit for the fight, saying that he looked amazing, but he didn't watch the fight. So it goes to show you how much attention he's showing you and how much attention you're giving him. But neither here nor there, that went down as the main event in UFC last night. There were a couple of good fights in Mearshot. He probably was the the fitting image of the night and got knocked out the quickest. It was a 17-second knockout, and the guy threw the one punch. That one punch knocked Mearshot out. And the reason why I'm talking about Mearshot, the way that he was talking about, I don't want to butcher his name. It's like Cosmod or something, and I may be butchering his name, but he basically saying he's too skinny, he can't handle me, and the first punch he threw was right on the button, right on his chin, dropped him and everything, and that was amazing to see that. And it's the feature of surprise of why stuff like that happens in MMA. So that was one thing. So I want to at least get the MMA situation out of the way. Now, in Eastern Conference Final basketball play, the Celtics halfway redeemed themselves. I'm not going to fully say they did because they lost all of home court advantage in the matchup up against the Miami Heat. They lost 117-106, actually trying to even out the series in their next matchup, which should be taking place tomorrow. Boston came out and played like it was a Game 7, the way that they came out, and did not lose the lead at all. It was a wire-to-wire finish for Boston to have and maintain the lead throughout the game. We have Jimmy Butler that came out and saying, getting in the big holes, it gets old. So basically I think that he wants Miami to start out stronger, better, and maintaining their lead, or staying within the game and not having to come back in a lot of these matchups. And that's me. I agree with him on all levels of sports. And this is basketball, baseball, football, I could care, hockey. If you can get out to an early lead and maintain it, that's the way you want to play. I don't like trying to have to watch a comeback happen and see how things will go down. That's not me, and that's the one thing that gets me baffled about a quarterback that I know oh so well, that says he likes the feature of surprise, to be not in the lead, but try to steal the lead late and win a game like that. I'd rather have the lead and build on the lead, especially if the defense is giving you stops. So that's in football, but also in basketball as well. And me being a Thunder fan, watching it happen several times this year, being an underrated team and winning a lot of games by coming back, it's that heartbreak hotel if they lose, or a heart attack if they come back and win. It's like, oh my goodness, like I was thinking it was completely over. So I understand where Jimmy Butler's coming from. You had an all-out warfare from Boston, getting it done from guys like the normal, usually Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They both had over 25, and Jaylen had 26. Marcus Smart is looking like he is the leader of this team right now, even though I think the namesake is Jason Tatum, but Marcus Smart had a 20-point night effort in 36 minutes of play, and you also had Kemba that had a 21-point night. So the starters actually came out and shined well. Tice did as much as he could with eight on the board as well. On the Heat side of the ball, you had Bam had a 27-point night. Jimmy Butler had 17, and I can't really be mad at what he did because he shot damn near 50%, 6 of 13. That's close enough. But Crowder went 2 for 10. Dragic was 2 for 10 with 10 and 11-point nights. Duncan Robinson had a 13-point night. He was 50%, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. So he did what he could in 28 minutes of play. But this Game 4 is very pivotal. This Game 4 is going to be very pivotal. If Miami can actually come out and win this game and maintain that home court, because they're even though everybody's playing on the same floor, but this is supposed to be Miami's home court advantage. If they could have that 3-1 going into Game 5, it puts a ton of pressure on the Celtics. And me, myself, I'm not going to lie, and I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to say it on air. I'm really looking forward to, and of the existence of the NBA, I want to say, was that 96, 24 years. And so it's 74 years? I think next year will be the 75th year of the league. So in 74 years, you should be used to this matchup. I'm thinking it may be an LA-Boston matchup for the finals again. And I think the last time we saw that was 2009. I think it was 2009 the last time we seen that. So I think the Boston and Lakers are headed for it. If Boston could get this game and tie this back up and make this an interesting 7-game series, then we have something. But if Miami can steal Game 4, put a lot of pressure on Boston, it'll be LeBron's old team to his now new team. So there's a lot of edge-of-your-seat speculation situation that we got going on here in the NBA. So quickly, of course, I can't wait to get to this portion of the show of the top 25 in the NCAA football scoreboard, at least the top 25, right? So you have the Clemson Tigers taking care of business of the Citadel, 49-0. This was all taken care of in the first half, in which the first quarter, Clemson scored 28 points, followed by the second quarter, they scored 21. They were up 49-0 at halftime. They took Trevor Lawrence out the game. He was 8 for 9, 168 yards passing and 3 touchdowns thrown. He also had a touchdown rushing as well. So Clemson is looking just fine in ACC play. I don't know what team will slow them down in the schedule, but this is something that we have to wait for in the soon future, I guess. You also have Notre Dame, who came out with their win up against South Florida, 52-0 in a shutout. I did not expect this to be a shutout, but I did expect that Notre Dame would win this matchup, but they cruised in this matchup. And you have the number 11 ranked Oklahoma State winning their game 16-7 up against Tulsa, in which Tulsa had an early lead in this game. They were up 7-3 at halftime, and I was stunned because I'm like, are they going to shock Oklahoma in Oklahoma? And then it was 7-3 in the third. No scoring going on. And then Oklahoma finally woke up. I think the coach had that fourth quarter speech saying, listen, we're not going to lose at home, not to Tulsa. And they put up 13 unanswered in the fourth quarter to round out the scoring of 16-7, a very low total, especially for me watching this of a Big 12 team going up against Tulsa. But they did their job to at least hang on to that seat. I want to see how the committee looks at this. The next matchup I have, ranked 13th, the Cincinnati Bearcats beat Austin Peay 55-20. You have UCF, who won their matchup, number 14th ranked, 49-21, beating Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech looks, they look bad. Georgia Tech looks bad in this matchup. The one thing that has me happy and at the edge of my seat, that's why I said I couldn't wait to talk about college football right now. The number 17th ranked Miami Hurricanes go into Louisville and beat the Cardinals 47-34. De'Aaron King had a good day, 325 yards passing, 3 touchdowns thrown. A great day from Cameron Harris as well. And I don't know, the way that this offense looks explosive, I'm trying not to get too hyped. I want to chill and see how we look Saturday up against Florida State. And by the way, speaking of Florida State, thoughts and prayers are with their head coach, Mike Norvell. He just was announced that he's been diagnosed as positive for the coronavirus. So they have a interim head coach taking over for the matchup this Saturday. I'm concerned about the matchup because if he, was exposed to the team, does anybody else have it from Florida State? And if they're playing, will this affect the play of the game on Saturday? So I'm like, I don't want Miami to play them. Like, as much as I love the rivalry and love to try to be on the winner's side of the circle, it's not worth it to, risk these kids to have to sit out for 2 weeks, so on and so forth, especially how good Miami's been playing at this point in time. But just like I said, the matchup is this Saturday up against Florida State in South Beach. And the turnover chain finally came out, and I'm not going to lie, I was a fan of the 305 when the 305 one was hot, but this year the one of the state of Florida and how they had it painted, that turnover chain is it right now. So the last two have been hot. Okay, let me get back into it because I'm talking about my boys too much. Number 19 ranked Louisiana comes off with an edging win up against Georgia State 34-31, in which Georgia State had the lead for quite some time in this game, and then Louisiana finally turned this on. We have an upset in which Marshall won their game 17-7. I don't really want to call it an upset because Marshall is a good team overall in the past couple of years. And Appalachian State lost this game, but they were on the road in West Virginia. So 17-7, Marshall wins that game. And to round out the top 25, Pittsburgh won their game 21-10 up against Syracuse. Syracuse is out to an 0-2 start. It's very interesting how the ACC is looking, especially with Notre Dame being there as well. And Syracuse was high last year, but this year they are flat. We have games that were canceled with Charlotte and North Carolina. They were supposed to match up. That was canceled. And BYU and Army were also canceled as the two games inside of the top 25 that did not play, because BYU and Army are 21 and 22nd ranked in the nation. This is going to be very interesting to see how the Heisman pans out, if you will, because there's a lot of good names, a lot of people playing good ball. Ian Book, it depends on how this pans out. Their running game was efficient as well in Notre Dame with Flemingsters also, and, of course, I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan, but if they're blowing teams out and they're taking them out by halftime, it's going to be tough for, Trevor Lawrence if he can't be on the field. That's kind of the same way that I was looking at Tua last year for Alabama. Alabama was taking care of business, and they would take Tua out by halftime, and it's like they took away from what he was able to do. De'Aaron King and also Cameron Harris for the Hurricanes, they're both playing well too. And I'm trying not to be biased, but they are doing their thing also. So I'm doing that. I feel some type of way. I want to get that out of the way before I get into the picks in week 2 for the NFL. And I don't know. And it's early. It's really week 3 in NCAA football, but a lot of these teams only have 2 games played. Michigan, not just Michigan. The Big Ten have actually come out and said that they will be playing games. They want to get this underway soon. They will have games being played into the month of December as well. And the weekend of December 12th will be that rivalry game of Michigan and Ohio State. We haven't seen them play yet, so I don't know what they really look like, but I still favor Ohio State to win that game. I don't know when Michigan is going to break this streak, but it is looking bad. If Harbaugh can't turn this around, how do, the University of Michigan look at him moving forward. If he's recruiting well, if he's able to get the names in there to beat Ohio State consistently and not just get one win and just take a deep breath, because this is a bad streak, and not even just looking at the streak, just looking at, you know, even if the streak gets broken, it's like Ohio State is dominating them for at least 2 decades. Like I don't even want to just say, oh, it's just a 1 decade long thing. So this is incredible for what Ohio State was able to put together. And hopefully we'll see the Big Ten get their play in. And they're also talking about Pac-12 getting involved also. A lot of the matchups we'll see as they come into play. I think in the month of October is when they'll resume or actually start play. I don't even want to say resume, but start play. Okay, so I want to get into the Week 2 matchups of the NFL season, get a lot of these out of the way. And there's a lot of injuries going on also in the Week 2. We have the first matchup, the New York Giants going up against the Chicago Bears, in which the Bears are favored by 5.5 in this matchup. It is tough for me to try and even pick the Giants on the road, but with the win the Bears pulled off last week in Ford Field, I think they go home into their home opener and pull this off. I think they actually cover the 5.5 point situation. I want to try and give the Giants some points. Like, I think that after taking on a strong team in Pittsburgh, I think Daniel Jones will actually have a better day, a.k.a. Danny Dimes, or have a better day up against Chicago. Even though Chicago has an interesting front seven, Khalil Mack led, and their run defense is good. If this run defense, okay, and this is something that's critical while I say this. If this run defense shows up, this may be a second week of Saquon getting shut down. Now, I don't want to do this or say it this way, but this is why I'm bothered by it. The Giants did nothing to, like, put weapons around Saquon, and every defense that plays him is going to, the chalkboard material is Saquon Barkley until Danny Jones could actually show people that he can actually win the game on his arm and tie his thing up. And the element of surprise could be here also. The Giants could go in here and steal this game, but with Slayton being his main target, I think this is real tough for them to go into Chicago, pull this off, especially while Saquon had a bad week last week, and he's going to come out in this game and try to have a good week this week, and the Bears know it. They know it. They know they're going to have to put a hat on the hat and actually close a lot of the running lanes that he could possibly get to. So this will be tough for them to get it done. I'm selecting the Bears in this matchup and to cover the 5.5 also. So that's interesting in itself. The next matchup I have is the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are going to Jerry's World. Dallas is favored by 3. This is one of the game of the day situations. Both 0-1 on the season. The Falcons did not look like themselves. However, they still have weapons in their offense also. The Cowboys, I think, could have saved themselves and at least kicked the field goal to get into overtime last week. But we have the pass interference call, if you will, and it pushed them back down the field, and they couldn't get up there and get in field goal range to kick the kick. So now, they both are taking a loss on the chin. It's Matty Ice versus Dak. I got into a very interesting conversation last night on which quarterback was better, and it was thrown at me. I didn't even start this one up. And somebody said Dak was better than Matty Ice, and I'm like, this is a very interesting question. Like, I didn't know which way to go. I still favor Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan got at least as far as the Super Bowl and should have been able to win it if they would have just called the right game. And I put a lot of that on the hands of Shanahan, even though, and this is why I get bothered with, coaching and the scenarios. A lot of these coordinators get caught up in calling plays, and the quarterbacks that won't audible out of it from what they see or what's working consistently to either move the chains or get the clock involved. So the Falcons could have been in a situation where they could have ran that ball in the Super Bowl, and this is the same situation that's going on now if they can get past that hangover from 2 or 3 years ago. So tough enough. You got the interesting matchup at the quarterback position with Matty Ice and Dak. The running back position, you have Ezekiel Elliott, and he's going up against Todd Gurley. I want to see, and that's interesting if Todd is actually able to have an efficient day up against Dallas's defense. Who will have the bigger day? I still favor Zeke to have the bigger day because he's at home. And, of course, he'll be, feeding himself as much as possible. But, Gurley is waiting to have that breakout game and get out of the shadow of him being in L.A., and a lot of people are saying that he's done. They don't think that Gurley has a lot of potential in the future. I think, a lot of people are saying, these will be the last year that we see great production or good production out of Todd Gurley. The receiving game, I think it favors Dallas because they have more weapons on the field than the receiving core, but you can't take away with Julio and Ridley on the field also. So this is going to be interesting to see how this game goes down. This is going to be a complete shootout. Dallas is favored by 3. However, the over-under is at 54. I still threaten that 54 is low, but Vegas is involved, people. I just want you to know that lowly city in the state of Nevada could be crucial in this one. But if I had to pick that one, even though I wouldn't really mess with it, I still would go on the matchup. The next matchup we have are the Detroit Lions going into Lambeau up against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are favored by 6. Now, earlier in the week it was 6.5. They dropped it a half a point as of yesterday. The over-under was 49.5. 49.5, and it's at 50 right now. It's funny how that 0.5 flipped from one to the other, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, especially in this matchup I know so well. Devontae Adams is clearly going to have an efficient day up against a secondary that's injured, especially in the cornerback region in the secondary. So he'll see a lot of second and third string corners, and if he's able to get his route running down right, this could be a long day for the Detroit Lions in Lambeau, and it frustrates me to be this way. But also with the drop last week of DeAndre Swift, a lot of people were pinning a lot of the game on him. I'm like, and I'm going to say this here on air right now, it shouldn't have gotten that far to them to lose a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. And here we go again in a situation where Adrian Peterson was playing good ball, running the ball. They only gave him 14 carries. So he could have finished the game with, I want to say 17. He ended with 93 yards rushing. He could have had a 100-yard day just to help the clock move. They, take him out of the game and keep Carryon and DeAndre in the game and then have to get into a passing situation because we're hurt on defense. The defense isn't getting stops. Chicago's scoring the ball. And they had to run a 2-minute offense, and everybody that's seen the game seen DeAndre drop a game-winning touchdown, and he basically was on the goal line while the pass was coming to him, and he just dropped it and didn't pay attention to what was going on. I agree that, that was a critical drop and could have won the game, but there's no way that the Lions should have been at that point in time of a 3-possession situation and not be able to move the chains how they were earlier in the game, not being able to seal the deal and just totally throw out the run game while Adrian Peterson was efficient enough to dare to have a 100-yard rush, and it baffles me. So I don't want to put all of that on Swift. Plus, he's a rookie. This is his first game in the NFL, and a lot of people are like, no, Ty, that's not how it go down. He's supposed to, man the ship, so on and so forth. I don't like that personally. Like, it made me feel bad. At one point, I was like he dropped the pass, cost us the game. Then when I really recognized it was his name and when he walked off the field, head hanging, and it's like you watch Patricia and Adrian Peterson trying to lift him up, but you could tell he was down about it, and a lot of stuff that he said off the record, he will be in this game, but I don't know if it will be enough to knock off the Tigers. I feel bad in saying this. I'm going against my boys. I do not know if Green Bay covers the 6. I think that there's potential for this game to be a shootout and be close, but I think the Packers will do something interesting to edge them out once again in Green Bay, even though last year how the matchup went, it did not favor the Lions, especially with the I don't even want to just say, blame it on the referees or the calls, but the two penalties that Trey Flowers was able to attain, what they saying, hands to the face, and he didn't even put a hand to the guy's face. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going Packers right here. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I don't know if they cover the 6. It'd be interesting, though. The next matchup, we have an AFC South matchup. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are favored by 7.5. The Jaguars are coming off of a win. They're both 1-0 in the division. Also, the Jaguars shocked the Colts. To me, I picked the Colts to win. But this is the funny part where a lot of people felt that Phillip Rivers was done, and Phillip Rivers was able to get a starting job in Indianapolis, and a lot of people are like, no, he still has it. He still got it in his tank. He's going to put up, gaudy passing yards, so on and so forth. He turned the ball over enough to lose to a Jaguars team that's tanking. He did enough to lose to a team that's tanking. So I'm going to go with the Titans at home. This is the home opener. As much as people know me in the kitchen, I'm not a big Tannehill fan, but Tannehill is at home where the fans aren't involved. But still, yeah, of course, they got that guy named Derrick Henry. They'll have to try and slow him down as much as possible going up against the Jaguars team. I think he finishes with another 100-yard day, and as we know, he gets stronger as the game goes on. So if they can't stop him early, if that Jaguars defense starts getting tired, it could be a long day for them. But I'm going with the Titans. 7.5 is pushing it. I think they can cover the 7.5, but I feel like they're pushing it, though. But Gardner Minshew has actually been making a name of himself. I can't rob him for what he's been able to do. Last year I did it because I didn't know too much about him on the pro level. I did see much of him when he was in college, but I didn't think he was ready for the lights. Now he's made a name for himself and potentially could be the mainstay name for the Jacksonville Jaguars team, especially if they do enough to win and try to stay away from a quarterback. But I think a lot of people are thinking that Trevor Lawrence may potentially be the guy heading there. I'm hoping that Trevor Lawrence don't go there. But that's neither here nor there. The next matchup we have are the Minnesota Vikings going to Indianapolis up against the Colts. The matchup is the Colts are favored by 3 at home. And this is questionable to me because, yeah, the Vikings may have lost in their matchup last week. But, I feel like they have a strong offense. I really put a lot of the pressure on Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins is able to, be efficient, not turn the ball over, not be in a situation where he's late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter and dealing with a deficit, I feel like the Vikings should win this with the points. I think they cover this out. I think they win outright, especially while the running back Marlon Mack is out. But they have Jonathan Taylor, the rookie running back out of Wisconsin, playing. So it's interesting that they have a stud coming into the game to take the place of Marlon Mack, which Marlon Mack is injured. Next matchup I have are the Buffalo Bills going up against the Miami Dolphins. The Bills are favored by 5.5 in this matchup. I'm going with the Bills to win this one in Miami's home opener. I know Miami will come out and try to play as strong as possible, opening up the season at home. But the Bills, I think they have too much in this matchup. The Dolphins are coming off an interesting loss up against the New England Patriots where they made it interesting. They didn't let the score get out of hand. Cam Newton did have an efficient day. He ran the ball well. He took a critical hit, and they tried to bully him at the end of the game. I think the Dolphins will try to carry that energy into this matchup, but I think the Buffalo Bills will prevail and cover the 5.5 too. I think that they will defensively do their thing. Tre'Davious White being a good cover corner, and their offense also. I feel like they have enough in the tank to deal with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have to prove it to me. The Dolphins are almost in the same stratosphere as the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, the Jaguars have come out with their first one of the season, so the Dolphins are be one of those teams at the end of the run and see how their schedule will pan out. The next matchup we have is out here in the tri-state area. The San Francisco 49ers are playing the New York Jets. The Niners are favored by 7. I'm going Niners just to get that out of the way. To cover, it'll be a stretch. I did not notice that until I seen it earlier today. Jimmy Garoppolo is 5-0 after a loss. So him losing in the Super Bowl, does that count? Because then he lost this first game of the season. But I think that might be a regular season stat. But him coming here without Kittle is huge. But I still think that they have enough to knock off the Jets. I'm sorry, people. There's a lot of people that are high on Sam Darnold and his production and trying to progress into his future. I do not see it. I have to be fair with him, though. I think that he needs more weapons on the outside, losing one of his important weapons in Anderson. But I think he needs more weapons for me to give him more credit for what's going on. But I'm still shaking my head at what's going on right now with the New York Jets. So I'm going to Niners. If I had to pick, I think they do cover the 7. I think they do come in here and win by double digits. I think this might be a 10-point game. I don't want to say 20 or 17, but I think this might be a 10-point game where the Jets will make it interesting throughout the game and It'll be a 3-point difference in the third, and I think they pull the stretch off in the fourth quarter. So I'm going Niners to win this one on the road up against the Jets. The next matchup we have are the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the home opener here. And the crazy situation about this matchup is you have a situation in which the Rams just beat the Cowboys, and they just beat the Cowboys, but they're not favored. And I wonder why the Eagles are favored by a point and a half. And to me, that when I look at this, this is virtually a pick-em. I think this is a potential setup. So I'm gonna pick this two ways. Me personally, I'm going with the Rams. I think the Rams will win this game. There's something fishy about that spread. I will not be surprised if the Eagles pull this off. If the Eagles win this game, I wink at you. Like if you're looking at me, I'm winking at you. Like you know how they pull this off. The next matchup we have are the Denver Broncos going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their home opener at Heinz Field, in which Ben Roethlisberger's first game back and MetLife going up against the New York Giants on a Monday night matchup. He had 229 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and he's showing that Juju is not too far of a fall off from A.B. Antonio Brown. And I'm not trying to say he's good. Well, he's good. He's good. And I don't even want to have the speculation in front of me, but he's doing just enough to keep this going for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers at home. The Broncos did a good job at home last week in the Monday night matchup going up against the Titans, but them on the road right now, I want to see if they do have it in the tank to actually pull this off. I don't think so. I think the Steelers do take care of business. The spread is 6.5. They cover. Pittsburgh will cover the 6.5. I feel like they will end up cruising in this one. Potential, I'm going to do this now, potential blowout, people. Potential blowout. I can't wait to get to this question of the day because it's coming soon. The next matchup we have are the Panthers going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is Brady opening up the show there in Florida, out there in the Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are favored by 8.5. They are looking at this to be a high-scoring situation. I'm going with Tampa Bay. Them at home. Brady getting everybody out there in Tampa. I know everybody can't wait to see them out there. Over-unders at 47. I don't know about that, but I think the Bucs actually cover this 8.5 spread. I want to see if the Panthers can actually keep up, if you will. But here goes the interesting thing. The Buccaneers defense was giving up points last week, so this could be a potential shootout. I'm watching to see if the Panthers are able to score with the Bucs. I have questions, and that may be a question of the day next week. I can't wait to see that. The next matchup is very interesting that we have. We have the Washington football team, and it's going to be very hard for me to get used to just saying the Washington football team from now on. They are up against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. The Cardinals are favored by a touchdown. I don't think the Cardinals cover. I think the Washington football team are able to stay within the game, but the Cardinals will win this game. The day that DeAndre Hopkins had, I want people to tell me why the Texans let him go. Where's the smart or logic in that? This is the same head coach. Well, he at the point in time he's a coordinator, but this is the same guy that watched Randy Moss lead the Patriots. Now, mind you, they had a riff on the sideline, and that riff must have gotten bad because Randy didn't get the ball in that game. I remember the game they were playing the Dolphins, and they got rid of him. This is the same guy that got rid of Moss that got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I don't get it. We'll see how Bill O'Brien pans out throughout the remainder of the season. But if they fall off course, if they have a worse record than what they had last year, I want to see what they say upstairs. I want to know what they're going to say upstairs. So that's neither here nor there. But DeAndre had a 14-reception day, 151 yards receiving with a Larry Fitzgerald, I want to say decor. But I think they win the game. But I think Washington stays within the game to keep it close. I don't think Arizona blows the doors off the hinges. The Chiefs go into L.A. at the SoFi Stadium, and now the Chargers get to open up the stadium as the Rams did last week up against the Dallas Cowboys. But now it's the Chargers' turn. The Kansas City Chiefs go into L.A. up against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 8.5 on the road. And the Chargers are coming off of a win last week, so I got to give them credit. They were able to do it. I'm still going to Chiefs. Something here is telling me that this game is going to be close. Something here is telling me it's going to be close. The over-under is at 47, 8.5 point spread. Unless the Chiefs can shut them down, I think the Chargers keep this close. I don't think that 8.5 is there, but I think the Chiefs will win this game. I give them a 7-point game, maybe 4 if they do keep it that type of close. The next matchup we have is Scrambler against Scrambler. To me, I love this situation with this scramble type of game. We have the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Houston Texans, in which the Baltimore Ravens are going into Houston. Houston is opening up their stadium, the Energy Stadium. Baltimore's favored by 7 on the road. Another game where you got the road team with strong presence. Lamar versus Deshaun. I can't wait to see this matchup. It's the last of the 4 o'clocks that we have. To be honest, I'm going with the Ravens. I feel questionable about this offense in Houston because it's basically everything is behind Deshaun. And not to say that Deshaun can't make plays, but he is the focal point, and we all know that a lot of the blame gets put on the quarterback. But he's a stud. He's a scrambler. He can get things done, but he's missing pieces. Duke Johnson is out with an injury also. And just like I said, with them getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, everybody else that's a part of that receiver corps is going to have to step up, i.e. people saying that Cooks was the guy to help step up. I don't want to take too much away from Will Fuller also. Will Fuller has been doing his job also. But I'd be very hard-pressed to see this Texans team win the game. I will say this. I think the Texans do stay within range to not get, blown out. So I think that I would take the Texans with the points. I think the Texans do keep this interesting for this day at the 4 o'clock matchup. That's the last of the 4 o'clocks I have. Now here goes the question of the day. We'll be waiting all day for Sunday night, and I waited all day for this question of the day. This is a new feature that I'm throwing out here. Now, we have the New England Patriots taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and you have, Cam Newton going up against Russell Wilson. These two have their own little rivalry, if you will. They met a lot of times. They met in the playoffs a couple times also. Here we go, people. Seattle taking by 4. I'm going to go Seattle, right? I'm going with Seattle to cover. Here we go. Here is my question of the day. If the Patriots win this game, right? If the Patriots win on the road in Seattle, now do we look at the system of New England? This is the crazy part about everything right here. I want to see if it's the system or if Brady is really the GOAT. Because if Cam is able to be on this team, come out against the Dolphin team, who the Dolphins always give a strong rivalry matchup up against them, even though we all clearly knew that it would be a situation where the Patriots should win that matchup. Still, yet the Dolphins know how to play them tough. Now, they're going into Seattle. If Cam is able to pull this off up against the Seahawks and win this one, while Russell Wilson just came out and made a statement and said he is the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, to me, Russell Wilson has never put this type of pressure on himself. He's never been outspoken, but finally the mold cracks, if you will. It's like now he's becoming a free-spirited quarterback, and I like it. I like the fact that Russell's finally speaking out, and I don't take anything away from him. I think he's top 3, top 5 potential. Or let me say top 5, top 3 potential. I want to say it that way. Let me say it that way. Top 3 potential, but he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I got to give Russell Wilson that. But if Cam is able to pull this off, do we look at the system of Belichick and that tree of the evil empire up there in Massachusetts? Because Cam Newton definitely has all of the tools that he's bringing from North Carolina, everything that he's able to do in his career, and be a part of that run-pass option, be a scrambler, and make plays downfield, so on and so forth. But if he's comfortable enough in this offense to beat a Seahawks team in Seattle, this is critical for me. So I'm going Seahawks. I'm going with them to cover in this matchup as well. But again, I want to see how this game, pans out. I want to see if Cam can pull this off, because then I'll be like, wait, now we have to look at GOAT status, if it's Belichick or if it really was Brady. Before I get into the Monday night matchup, they had the Battle of Ohio, one of their first meetings in the AFC North. The Browns beat the Bengals 35-30 in their matchup. And here goes the interesting thing. They finally got Odell involved. Odell had a touchdown catch, 4 receptions, 74 yards receiving. Nick Chubb had a good day, 22 carries, 124 yards rushing. And Joe Burrow had a good day. I can't even lie. 37 for 61. He had 61 passing attempts. That's the most by a rookie in a long time. He had a 300-yard passing day, 3 touchdowns thrown. The Browns were actually getting to him a lot. They hit him and got him to the ground a lot too, but he was able to stay in there and make plays. Joe Burrow, tip my hat. You are one tough cookie. I can't take anything away from you for what you were able to do in your first taste of NFL play. So I'm tipping my hat. But Baker Mayfield and the Browns are able to pull this off. Baker had 2 touchdown passes. He also had two touchdowns from Nick Chubb also to help round out the situation. But the Battle of Ohio for the first one, defended and protected their house 35-30. I'm wondering about the Browns, at least in the secondary, because Burrow was able to have an efficient day enough in a rivalry game in the AFC North. And we'll see. I mean, and I'm saying the first taste. The first taste he had was last week up against the Chargers. They lost that game, even though the kicker missed the kick late in the game also, and I'm missing that too. But he actually put them in play to actually win that game. They only lost by 5 in this matchup also. So, Joe Burrow, I'm tipping my hat. If you keep this up, you could potentially win at least Rookie of the Year, especially if you guys put wins up on the board. But the Bengals' losing woes are still there. Hopefully Burrow could get this to calm down. The Monday night matchup is the New Orleans Saints going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Saints are favored by 5.5 in Nevada, and they're playing in Nevada. This is just funny. I'm going with the Saints to win this game. I think they cover. I'm going to go with them covering this matchup, and they're over under that 48.5. There's just something freaky about these numbers right now. But I think the Raiders will make this interesting. But I think Drew Brees has enough as that's a fast track field. It looks like we don't know how this field is going to look. I know it's going to be turf, but I'm giving the Saints the edge to go in there and kind of Christian that building. The first loss of the season. I don't even want to just pin it to the Raiders, but I have to for picking purposes. I think they go in there and Christian the building and get the Raiders the walls out the gate in there. But I think the Raiders will be fine and efficient throughout the season, especially while the AFC West is looking like one of the better divisions in the league. Like the only loss that was there was the Denver Broncos, and they had potential to actually win that game last week also up against the Titans too. So this is interesting why the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders also got wins. So, but I'm going Saints. I think the Saints do take care of business to win this matchup on Monday night. Okay, so like I said, the question of the day was if Cam Newton can pull this off in Seattle, what do we do? What do we address as we move forward? Okay, Sports City, I'm going to close up right now because I have to leave early and get things started. But y'all already know. On that note, tell a friend that it's the chefs again. And if they don't know, now they know.